This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 452.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology.
Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. Only one next weekend. We have WordCamp Lyon in France. I've actually been to Lyon. Never been to WordCamp in Lyon, but I have been to Lyon. It was an awesome time. It was about 24 years ago. Yeah, haven't been back since, but it was amazing. So definitely go. It's a great town. All right, that's October 28th, one-day camp. Check it out. All right, moving on, segment one, in the news. One thing to talk about here, the agency that's known as 10up, they published a Gutenberg best practices website. It's over at gutenberg.10up.com. It's the number 10up.com. It's a public resource with documentation, some example code, maintaining current docs. Hasn't been strong, so they say. So they're trying to make sure that it's a place where people can keep up what's going on. So check that out. Pretty cool that they did that. And that is it. Yeah, that's it. Pretty light news week. So that's it in the news, I believe. Let me check one more thing here. Nope, that wasn't ready to share yet. So, okay, that's maybe next week. All right. Moving on, segment two, the meat and potatoes of this week's episode. So I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm a fan of languages, both the spoken and the programming type. I mean, I have a vision of opening a book from the bookstore. Well, that just sounds like I'm dating myself, or the library, still dating myself. But I want to open a book in another language and just understand a few paragraphs, be able to read it and understand what it's saying, either another language or even code, lines of code. And I've always had that dream to be able to do that. And I guess I can do a couple lines, but I'm not fluent. I don't speak any language fluently, nor do I know any programming languages by 100% either. I know enough to get around, to be dangerous, etc. And it's kind of bums me out. But that brings me to today's topic. Someone asked me recently, and I've also heard this a lot as of late, I think it's the last quarter of the year is why, but what languages should one dive into if they were interested in becoming a developer in the next year or two? Like 2023 is around the corner, and some people are thinking about maybe making a pivot into being a full-on developer, code junkie, if you will. So with that, I did some research for y'all. I asked a few people, some other developers out there, their thoughts, and I have a list. And for the record, these are not in any order of rankings, rather just the list that I found, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, we'll talk about that in a second, how many other languages are out there, but here are the 6 and kind of about them, what they are, what they do. Again, no order of ranking, like what's the most popular versus the high to low. I didn't go that deep because I don't want to get into that kind of discussion or argument here on this podcast. So that's for a different story, different time, and maybe a whole different podcast, not with me in it. All right, moving up. Number one, again, no order. Just the first one we'll talk about is PHP. Now, PHP is one of the most popular backend programming languages out there to learn if you want to make server-side applications. It's a general programming language, runs on multiple platforms. It's compatible with Windows, Linux, Mac OS. It's also compatible with numerous servers, Apache, Internet, IIS, and it supports a variety of and various databases. Super popular. We know we use it in the WordPress space. So of course it is very popular and it's not going anywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, it just had a massive birthday. Let me look that up real quick here. How old is it now? Yeah, so it's 28 years old, almost coming up on 30 years old. It was built back created by Rasmus Luterdorf back in 1994. So yeah. It was, so it's an old, it's been around for a long time, not just, the 19 years of WordPress. It's been around longer than that. So almost twice as long as WordPress has been alive. So keep that in mind. So there's that one. Another one here, number 2, no order, JavaScript. Now JavaScript and Java are not the same. They're related that JavaScript is also used to write a ton of other things. The most crucial language to master today, especially if you're planning on developing online apps, it would be JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript, super important. Again, tied directly into a lot of use cases in the WordPress space. So keep that in mind. Very strong contender there as well. Here's another one, which is not so tied in. The next one's actually, none of the rest of these are not tied into WordPress specifically that I can see off the top of my head. But here's one, Python. Now, it needs to be in the top of the list. People think it should be number 1 when it comes to popular programming languages. And that said, it's very, very popular. It's becoming stronger every year that I've looked into this. I've actually taken a part of a course. I was trying to help my son out in his Python class. Didn't end so well for neither one of us, actually. But Python is super strong, and it's not going anywhere as well. Number 4 here is C and C++. Now, C is 50 years old, okay? And it's still a popular programming language in 2022, and it's going to be just as relevant as it is next year. And the reason for that is because there's some really old systems that were built on it. It's fast, it's disorganized, but it is a necessary evil that some have said. That's not my words, but many people have said it's a necessary evil for code and for programming development is to know C or C++. Okay. Here's one, by the way, I had never heard of. I've seen it now on a handful of lists. It's called R. Apparently, it's an open source programming language known for statistical analysis, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, and graphical representation. Now, and I quote, "The powerful language has a wide range of open source built-in libraries that support its basic features." Yeah, I had never heard of this one, and don't know where I was. So apparently it's up and coming, and it makes sense based on the AI and the deep learning and the machine learning world that we're kind of evolving into. So definitely check that out. It's called R, just the letter R. So, and then the last one here that I want to mention is Go or Golang. And I have heard of this one. And actually my friend Chris Wegman recently mentioned this one to me as well, because I asked him the question when he was here last month. And it's long been regarded as a cool programming language because its origins with Google. It's part of the computer world, and because it was quick to write, compile, and run. So if you're looking for something kind of, I guess, newer and cool, check out Golang as well. So there you have it. PHP, JavaScript, Python, C, C++, R, and Golang. Now, I want to mention I did some other secondary digging here to see some price points, average annual salaries of some of these languages. So Go developers can earn an average salary of $141,000, Python about $109,000, Java $112,000, PHP $107,000, R $90,000, C and C++ about $118,000. Now, of course, a couple of things here. Based on experience, you're going to earn a lot more money. This I know. I know of many people in the WordPress space. If you are an advanced developer and you know your way around a code base, you can kind of get what you want out of that from a perspective of job, equity, income, all those things. I know some people recently who have been offering jobs, and it's hard to find people that will take the job for $150,000, $160,000, $175,000 a year. So there are jobs out there that pay more, much more than you would think, even in the WordPress space. So now lastly on this, I realize that there are plenty of other languages out there. These are just the 6 that I wanted to share because they kind of made, actually it was going to be 5, but I wanted to include Go as well because it kind of made the cusp at the last minute there. So made it 6. And, there are plenty of other languages, but there you go. All right. I'm curious if you have any other languages you want to talk about or want me to mention, by all means, let me know. Or if you think would be good for the audience to know about, also shoot me a message. Not a problem. I'm more than happy to share that. Moving on, segment 3, tip and tool of the week. So again, based on languages, I'm going to give you 2 places to go learn, one free, one paid. I think I might have mentioned these in the past, but why not do it again? FreeCodeCamp and Pluralsite. And with Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming around the corner here, you might find a deal on any of those languages, any of those courses that cost money in the next month or so. So check it out. FreeCodeCamp and Pluralsite. Free is the free one. Pluralsite is not free. But they offered free last year or the year before that for like 30 days. Pretty cool. So check it out. All right. That is it for this week. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that speak pipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon, KitchensinkWP.com/Patreon. You can sponsor the show. There's a form on the website to fill out. We'll be in touch. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right? Bye-bye.